All right, today we are diving into a high stakes global chess match. It's all about the minerals that power, well, pretty much everything in our modern world. This is a story of dominance, a vulnerability, and a really bold American countermove that's designed to reshape the entire game. So let's start with a number 85%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the massive share of global rare earth processing that's controlled by just one country, China. Now, this isn't just a market lead, folks. It's a near monopoly on the very building blocks of the 21st century. So you see a number like that, and you've got to ask, how? How did we get here? How did one nation manage to get such a tight grip on a critical choke point in the global supply chain? Well, to really get the answer, we first need to understand what these minerals are and why they matter so much. First off, the name rare earths, it's actually kind of misleading. They're not all that rare in the ground. The real challenge is finding them in concentrations that are actually worth mining. But their importance, oh, that's huge. You've got neodymium, which is absolutely essential for the powerful magnets in electric vehicles and our smartphones. Then there's yttrium, which is critical for military tech like radar and lasers. To put it simply, they're indispensable. And look, this isn't some theoretical what-if scenario. This is real. China has already shown it's more than willing to use this control as a weapon. Back in 2011, they slashed export quotas during a dispute with Japan, and prices went through the roof. The threat is always there, potentially halting production at huge companies like Ford, GM, and Tesla. It's a very real economic weapon. But here's the crazy part. It wasn't always like this. Not even close. In fact, if you just roll back the clock a few decades, the entire situation was the complete opposite. The US was the undisputed leader here. So what on earth happened? This chart, it tells the whole story, right? Back in the mid-1980s, the US was producing almost half of the world's rare earths. But then, look what happened. China's production just exploded. And believe me, this did not happen by accident. They spent decades strategically and methodically building up control over the entire supply chain, from the mine all the way to the magnet. So what was their playbook? Well, it was a multi-pronged, state-backed strategy. For one, they were willing to bypass a lot of the strict environmental regulations you'd find in the West. They also built these massive operations to achieve incredible economies of scale. And here was the killer move. They were willing to sell at razor-thin profit margins, sometimes even at a loss, just to drive all their Western competitors completely out of business. Okay, so with this constant threat hanging over everyone's head, you can bet the US Department of Defense started paying very close attention. It was a massive wake-up call. They knew they had to do something. And what they came up with was a novel and frankly audacious plan to fight back. Now, instead of some big, broad policy to try and rebuild an entire industry from scratch, the Pentagon decided to get surgical. They're making a targeted, strategic bet. The plan is to back one single American company to create a national champion with the financial firepower to go toe-to-toe with China's state-backed giants. And the company at the very center of this whole national strategy, it's called MP Materials. And man, do they have a dramatic comeback story of their own. So MP Materials literally rose from the ashes of its predecessor, Molycorp, which went bankrupt in 2015 because, you guessed it, they just couldn't compete with Chinese prices. Then, in 2017, CEO James Litinsky bought the legendary Mountain Pass mine in California for a bargain, just over $20 million. He restarted production, took the new company public, and that set the stage for the Pentagon's game-changing intervention. Now, let's be super clear. This deal with the government, it isn't just some simple contract. It is a fundamental paradigm shift. It's a piece of industrial policy specifically designed to neutralize China's biggest advantage, their ability to flood the market with cheap product and bankrupt their competitors. So, part one of the plan. The government guaranteed a price floor of $110 per kilogram for key rare earth products. Now, to put that in perspective, that's about double the recent market price. What does that do? It single-handedly makes it impossible for China to bankrupt MP Materials by dumping low-cost products. It's a financial shield. Next, on top of that, the Department of Defense took a $400 million preferred equity stake in the company. This is not a loan, it's a direct investment. It effectively makes the US government MP Materials' biggest shareholder. That signals a deep long-term commitment. So you add all that up, and what do you get? The deal structure pretty much guarantees MP Materials about $650 million in annual earnings once its new magnet-making facilities are running at full steam. That provides the stable, predictable cash flow you need for serious long-term investment and expansion. And you know what? Industry analysts saw this, and they got it immediately. As George Janarikis at Canaccord put it, this is an absolutely brilliant way to break the back of Chinese mercantilist policies. In other words, it's a precise strike against the exact strategy China used to build its monopoly in the first place. Okay, so the stage is set. MP Materials has this powerful backing. What does the future actually look like? What's the road to independence, and how long is this whole thing going to take? With its future secure, MP Materials isn't just thinking about digging stuff out of the ground. They have a 5-year plan to become a vertically integrated industrial powerhouse. First, they'll ramp up magnet production for the government and other big customers. Next, they'll move downstream into more complex products. The final goal is to be a key supplier for the next generation of tech, from robotics to drones. Now, it's important we're realistic about the timeline. This won't be fixed overnight. Remember, it took China a whole generation to build this dominance. The goal for the US and its allies is to restore balance within a decade. The ultimate aim is for MP Materials and other non-Chinese companies to control half of the world's mining and refining capacity, breaking that monopoly for good. And this brings us to the final crucial question, doesn't it? This whole strategy, this massive bet on a single corporate champion, is one of the boldest experiments in American industrial policy in recent memory. So, can it truly work? Can one company, with the full backing of the US government, restore global balance in a market that is so vital to all of our futures? The world is definitely watching.